Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Praga R1. Now this is a race car, obviously from the looks you can tell, and you can see that I've actually picked medium tires. I tried this on soft tires and I've tried this on medium tires. Medium tires actually is quite interesting. I think it's a much more challenging drive. Soft tires have a lot of grip on this. So Praga R1. Now, the Praga name, I swear they do some sort of airlines or something. Small air taxis or something like that. Or I've heard that name before, but I'm not sure. I've never heard it in racing, but I have heard that name before. I'll have to take a look. I'll have to take a look around and see what there actually is. Anyway, so this car is, I think it's from the Czech Republic. I think so. Yeah, I think it's Czech Republic. And it's a race car, LMP, or I think the LMP cars, there's different variants of this car. This one's the lowest variant, or the slowest variant as it were, but don't let that fool you. It's still quite an interesting car. I mean, it's a single-seater race car, or you can have two seats if you want. I'm not sure what this one has. I think this one's still single-seater. Carbon fiber monocoque, and it's quite a lightweight car. I think it weighs about 590 kilos, or if you want that in pounds, it's what, 1,300 pounds. I'm trying to put different figures in here so that it's catered to a wider audience. So yeah, about 1,300 pounds or so, 590 kilos, give or take a couple of kilos. It's not that long a car either. It's quite a short car. I think it's quite stubby. It's very I think that's obviously to make sure that it keeps its agility and stuff. You've got different I think it's Hankook racing tires on these. Hankook racing tires with is it 15 inches? I think 15 inches front and 16-inch rears. 205 580 R15s at the front and 265 610 R16s at the rear. Yep, if I just look at the tech specs, which I've actually got off Praga Global. So yep, there's loads and loads of information here about the car and its power and everything. This version has 210 bhp, which comes in at 7,250 rpm, which is only about 250 rpm off its actual red line, so you do have to push this car. It's a very high revving car. With the torque, I think it's I can't remember the torque figures now. Let me go have a quick look. I bet you I can grab the torque figures pretty quickly, unless I go and break my. Okay, hang on. The torque figures come in at 4,000 rpm, if I remember. And it's eventually I'll find it. Come on. Here we go. 220 newton meters of torque at 4,500 rpm. Like I said, this is the lowest version of the car, the R1. There are other versions. There's an R1S and an R1T. I think the R1T has a turbo on it. They all weigh similar. I think the R1T is the heaviest, but the R1T does also give you about 340 brake horsepower, something like that. So it is a lot more powerful and a lot more torquey as well, with 410 newton meters of torque. The R1S is just a little bit up on power at 235, and it has 250 newton meters of torque. So yeah, the actual engine is a 2-litre Renault Sport, for one of the old Renault Formula engines, or Formula Renault engines. I think a 2010 model. 2-litre, 4-cylinder inline, 16 valves, so 4 valves per cylinder. It is mid-mounted, as you'd get from a race car, and it's actually quite a sprightly engine. I have to admit, it's a very, very sprightly engine. So I was quite impressed with that. 6 gears, sequential gearbox, of course, 6 gears. So you're limited, as you always get to be with all the regulations and everything. You're always limited. So there is that to be looking at. AP Racing brakes, 4 pistons, so they are pretty strong, I have to admit, and it has a steel. Now this is interesting. It's got a steel flywheel and a twin plate racing clutch. which is interesting. I would have thought they'd go for something lighter, but there we go. I mean, it's already a light enough car. Paddle shift, of course, and it has a Cosworth ECU. So that's basically a lot of the information about the car. What else is there really about the car that I can... suppose, yeah, lots and lots of lightweight materials in here. Lots of carbon fiber, you know, everything's carbon fiber in this car to keep it as light as possible. 60-litre fuel tank. Everything's... in the real car, everything's adjustable and all that, but obviously you don't have that in Assetto Corsa, nor do you really care about the seatbelts or anything, nor do you really care about the racing seat. So that doesn't really matter for Assetto Corsa. Brake balance, yeah, you can adjust the brake balance on the car, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good as well. I mean, I found that out the box it was fairly stable, and I think that allows me to move on quite nicely now that I've got all those specs out of the way onto what I felt of the car. Now, first of all, like I said, I've never heard of this car. I'd never heard of a Praga car before. But that being said, the moment I took a look at this car, I think model-wise, of course, Kunos, they always do a top job with the modelling and all that, but I think it looks really aggressive, and I can believe it when they say that this thing can generate 1.5 times its downforce. So if this thing can generate another if it's 592 kilos, this is 1.5 times, you're looking at it generating almost 890, yeah, I think almost 890 kilograms of downforce. So that's a lot of downforce, and if you look at the car, I think aerodynamically you can see that it does look the part. It's a very nice looking car. Inside I quite like it, like I said, from the official thing, lots and lots of carbon fiber, you can see that there. Steering wheel looks quite simple, LED display, nice displays in front of you. Gear is there, your revs are there, your amount of fuel is there, your temperatures are there. Everything that you need, your speed, your lap time, your tachometer, it's all there, so it's really nicely done. I mean, I think you can read Cosworth right there as well, and it's all very nicely done. The car, I think from the side, it's just a little bit enclosed. It reminds me a bit of the LMP1 cars. It just seems a little bit enclosed around the side of the windscreen. Like this car would possibly be better off if it was an open seater. That's just my opinion, though. I think it's just that I just don't like that design too much. It's just a little bit too enclosed for me. And I'm sure someone who was claustrophobic would not be able to sit in this car. It does look very bad in that way. Everything looks very bare bones inside the car as well. I mean, you can see all the pipes and all the lines and all those things just jutting out. It looks like they haven't really bothered covering any of that. I suppose that's weight saving. And from the outside, this car looks very aggressive. It doesn't even have a back bumper or anything. It's just all open at the back, which was again surprising. But I have to admit, it did grow on you. It does actually look quite good. Reminds me a little bit of the Formula Ford in the way that they've got the back open and they've just got the lights above the wheels. It does remind me a little bit of the Formula Ford. In fact, there are a number of things about this car that just have slight resemblances, I find, to the Formula Ford cars, especially the road model of them. But then again, it's a completely different car designed for a different race. Actually, I'd say it's not designed for a different race kind of aspect, because the Formula Ford car is also normally a 2-litre, and it's probably got a similar kind of top speed. I mean, look, I'm looking around right now. You can see all the wiring and everything. It's quite nice. I do like that. And you can see I'm actually hitting the maximum speed at the moment, which seems to be around 157-ish miles an hour. I think it's about 157, maybe 158 miles an hour. Doing 156 here. Let's see if coming down here, down this hill. There you go, 158. And you can just hear it hitting the limit. 159, I think, would be the absolute top speed. As I come up to start my second lap. Sounds amazingly good. I must say, I really like how this car sounds, both inside and out. Outside, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Very well done to Kunos there. I really enjoyed how the car sounded. I think it really brought a nice feeling to the car. It made the car sound like it's working to do what it's doing. It's not just being ask not to be pushed at all. It felt like I was having to push the car. It felt like I was having to, you know, really work the wheel. And as you can see here, I've got this bit of understeer coming out of this corner. On the soft tyres, none of that was there. On the medium tyres, of course, I had that because I had to go a lot slower. Take a bit more of, I think I should have taken a shallower line through that, to be completely honest. Physics. Yep, physics is the last thing I normally have to talk about. Physics of this car, I've got to say it, this car is so nice to drive. I really enjoyed driving it. Like I mentioned, it's a bit understeery on the medium tyres. On the soft tyres, all of that is pretty much gone. You can really lean on the soft tyres. You can really push them hard. They are very, very forgiving. The car itself is very forgiving over these bumps. Don't take them over the steep bumps too much, but over the shallow curbs, you can take it over that. It's very, very forgiving. Suspension's quite stiff. You do feel it when going over the bumps. You do feel the car trying to bite back on the road. So yeah, you do have to be a little bit aware of that. The brakes, very, very nicely modeled. I think they're very strong brakes. You can actually brake, I think, a bit later than I was. Maybe, especially coming up to the chicane. I think I brake at, what, the 100-meter mark or something? I can't really remember. Yeah, just before the 100-meter mark, I hit the brakes. Honestly, you could probably hit the brakes at the 100-meter mark, or even just slightly after the 100-meter mark, 90 meters or something, and it really will slow the car down. The brakes are that strong. Like I said, as I slightly brushed the Armco barrier, like I said, the stiff suspension is just something you have to get used to, especially on a bumpy track like this. You don't want to upset the car too much by taking it into the bumps at an angle that it really won't like. So try and hit the bumps head on if you can, and of course you have to learn the track to really be able to do that. If you hit the bumps head on, it really doesn't upset the car much, and you don't feel the wheel fighting you at all in any which way, which is quite nice as well, because I think the feedback that comes through the feedback that was coming through to me on my wheel was quite nice. As you can see there, I hit the bump there just slightly off, and I had to quickly turn the wheel back. So you just have to be careful about those things. Otherwise, the car is really, really nice to drive. I have to say, it's one of the nicest race cars I've driven. Like I said, it doesn't have to be so powerful for it to be fun. Yes, I would have probably liked the 340 bhp version. I think the 340 bhp version would have been really, really nice. Would have been a lot faster. Would have been probably a bit more exciting. But that being said, I think this version is a very, very nice version of this vehicle, and it's good for, I think, learning how to drive as well, because it's so forgiving. I think this is a good one for learning for learning single-seater endurance style driving. I think this is a very, very good vehicle to choose. So with all that being said, I have to give this car 10 out of 10. I think it's a well done car. I think the actual car is really, really nice as well. So 10 out of 10 for this car, which is surprising considering I've never heard of it. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, and leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of this car. I hope to see you guys next week.